Hey guys, this video lesson is going over dividing fractions, word problems. Please make sure you have the notes in front of you and follow along as we go through. Number 1 says Mr. Martin can walk 1 mile in 1/6 of an hour. How many miles can he walk in 5/6 of an hour? Draw a model to show the solution and write an equation. So when we're talking about word problems, it's a little tricky to figure out which number comes first. So we're always going to do what you have, divide it by the part that you're splitting it into, or a part of something. So if you look at this problem, we go back to the actual word problem. What we have is 5/6 of an hour, right? He is walking for 5/6 of an hour, and we have to figure out how far he can walk in that time. So this is what we have, and our part is 1/6 of an hour. So that's how far he can, or how long it takes him to walk 1 mile. So this is our part. Make sure you label those because they're definitely important and help us with our equation. So remember I said it's what we have, 5/6, divided by our part, which was 1/6. And in this problem, they did ask us to model to show our solution. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, when we're modeling a fraction divided by a fraction, if our first number is a fraction, we only need one box. Our denominator tells us what to split our box up into. So we're going to split this box into 6 parts. Our numerator of our first fraction tells us what to shade in. So we're going to shade in 5 of these boxes. Okay, now the numerator of our second fraction tells us we're looking for groups of. So groups of 1 in this problem. So when we go to our model, here's one group of 1, 2, 3 groups of 1, 4, and 5 whole groups of 1. So 5 would be my answer, but it's a word problem, so you cannot forget your units on your final answer. If I look back in the question, it says, how many miles can he walk? He can walk 5 miles in 5/6 of an hour. That would be my final answer. All right, number 2 says, Miss Turner is decorating for Red Ribbon Week. She has red ribbon that is 7/8 of a yard long. So they said the word have, right? So this is what we have here. That's going to be important. So let's label that. Then we're trying to figure out how many 1/4 yard pieces can she get from that ribbon. So this is going to be our part, right? She's splitting those that yard, 7/8 of a yard of ribbon into this part here. So we'll label that again. It also wants us to draw a model to show the solution. So it's always what we have divided by our part. What we have was 7/8. And we're dividing it into 1/4 pieces. That would be our part. Biggest thing we have to remember when we go to model dividing 2 fractions, you have to have common denominators. In order to do that, we take our 2 current denominators, 8 and 4. We're going to find the LCM, the least common multiple. So I'm going to start listing multiples of 4. Start listing multiples of 8, and you should very quickly see that our least common multiple here is the number 8, which is great for us because 7/8 is already in perfect shape, right? That 8 is already on the bottom. We need to change 1/4 into something over 8. When we do this, we look and say, okay, I know that 4 times 2 is 8. What we do on the bottom, we also do on the top. So 1 times 2 would be 2. So back to our problem, we have 7/8 divided by 2/8 now. And we kind of forget about that beginning problem, right? We got our common denominators. So from here, we can start modeling. It is a fraction divided by a fraction. My first number is a fraction, so I only need one box here. The denominator tells me I'm splitting this into 8 parts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 3, 4, little there. And then the numerator of our first fraction tells us what to shade. So we're shading in 7 out of the 8 boxes. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just try and make it as even as possible. 5, 6, 7. And then our numerator of our second fraction tells us we're looking for groups of 2. So down to our model, we'll go 1, 2. There's one whole group. 1, 2, 2 whole groups. 1, 2, 3 whole groups. 1. So in that last group, that's not a whole group. We have 1 out of our 2 shaded in. So our final answer would be 3 1/2. Then we need our label. It said how many 1/4 yard pieces. So 3 1/2 pieces is our answer. Okay, number 3, Haley Bieber has 5 Snickers bars, so that's going to be an important number. She is sharing those with her friends. If she gives each friend half of a candy bar, how many friends can she share her candy bars with? So let's label what we have. 5 Snickers bar, and she's splitting them into a half, right? So that's our part. So what we have divided by our part, 5 divided by 1/2. It does say draw a model to show the solution, so let's go ahead and do that. The nice thing here, when you start with a whole number, remember this whole number here tells you how many to draw and how many to shade in. So we have to draw 5 whole boxes and shade them completely in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to shade them completely in. That's what we're starting with here. All right, our denominator still tells us what we're splitting these boxes into. So each one we have to split into 2 parts. So right in half. And our numerator tells us we're looking for groups of 1. So we go to our model. Here's one group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So go back to the question, how many friends can she share her candy bar with? It would be 10 friends would be our final answer. All right, number 4, Miss Medford has 9/10 pounds of chemicals to put into 3 test tubes for a science experiment. So remember what she has is 9/10, so that's what we have, what we're starting with. And our part, what we're splitting it into, is 3 test tubes. So that's our part here. Assume she puts the same amount in each tube. How many pounds of chemicals will be in each tube? Write your answer as a number sentence. So it does not say model, so we do not have to draw a model. We're just going to show our number sentence. So what we have, 9/10 divided by our part, which was 3. So from here, we can just use the algorithm or the rule, which was keep, change, flip. In order to do that, we have to change our whole number here, 3, into a fraction. We just put the number 1 underneath, and now we have 9/10 divided by 3/1. So we keep 9/10, change division into multiplication, flip your second fraction into 1/3. From here, we multiply fractions. So multiply your 2 numerators. 9 times 1 is 9. Multiply your 2 denominators. 10 times 3 is 30. Now, this is not in simplest form. Both of these numbers can be divided by 3, which will give us a simplified answer of 3/10. And if we go back to the question, it says how many pounds. So you could put pounds, you could put lbs, both would be correct. So 3/10 of a pound in each test tube. If you flip your paper over, there are more practice problems on the back. You are going to independently complete those and then check the key when you finish.